As early as 3500 BC, when the Persian and Mesopotamian civilization started, they used cylinder seals to certify documents made in clay. From China, in 200 AD, included block seals, pottery imprints, and cloth printing. The communication industry for the sharing ideas on the development of text printing. It then evolved to our current state with more efficacy in printing.
Hi, my name is Yao Obi and welcome. I'll be your instructor for today. In today's lesson, we'll be discussing printmaking. First, let's define what printmaking is. Printmaking is the process of transferring a design from one substrate onto the other using a printing paste or an ink. So moving on, we'll talk about some types of printmaking techniques, namely block printing, relief printing, frottage printing, screen printing, and direct printing. But for the benefit of today's class, we'll focus our attention on three of them, namely frottage printing, screen printing, and direct printing. Printing. It is the application of a printing paste through a fine mesh placed in contact with the fabric to be printed on. It is done with the help of a squeegee to smear the printing paste onto your fabric. So now, let's delve into the practical aspects of screen printing.
At this minute, let's look at the tools for screen printing. Now, starting with the screen printing process, you get your wooden frame, then you fasten your nail with a mesh, then you use your scissors to cut the excess mesh. Now you take an amount of your glue, and you take an amount of your potassium dichromate, then you mix to get an even color. Now the color looks good, so you can now apply it on the frame. Apply your mixture on the mesh, that's the wooden frame, to get an even texture. Put your frame on the light box. Add weight onto the mesh to prevent light from leaking and to fasten the design to the mesh. Close the light box for about 3 minutes. So at this point, you peel off your design and wash your screen gently to prevent any blockages. We now have a clean frame to start with our print. We have a printing paste and squeegee, lay your shirt down gently. Make sure to insert a paper inside of the shirt so you don't soil the other side of your shirt. Now take an amount of your paint and spread on your negative areas of your design. Beautiful impression on your shirt. This is screen printing. So beautiful. Now let's talk about footage printing. Now let's look at the tools for footage printing.
Footage printing. It is the process of transferring an impression of a textured surface, such as wood or coin, by placing the paper over it and rubbing it with a crayon or pencil. I take a coin, I place the paper over it, and I rub gently with my pencil. The impression it creates on the paper, it's called footage printing. Now, let's move on to the practical section of footage printing.
Place our paper over a textured surface and rub gently. With this impression on the substrate, this is called footage printing.
Direct printing. It is the process whereby colors for a prescribed design are applied directly onto your surface. An example is, I dip my hand into a white paint and paste it directly onto a fabric. The impression it creates is an example of a direct print. Let's see how direct printing is done practically.
With this, you dip your key into your paint and you transfer the print onto your paper. Moving on to our second direct print. Now moving on to our second phase of direct printing. I'll be printing with my palm. So I'm gonna paint my palm thoroughly with paint with a brush, as you can see. And paste it onto our shirt. Now boom, there you go. The print is registered.
I hope you learned a lot in today's lesson. And as always, be yourself, never stop practicing, and stay creative. Bye-bye.